of all, do you still have that stance, and do you worry that such a stance will impact the Hispanic vote and support for Republicans like Mitt Romney in November?
Well, as you all know, I think the right thing is for the federal government to secure borders, for the federal government to have an immigration policy that Americans understand and anybody that wants to come to our country can understand. Finally, we need to make sure that we have a work visa program that doesn't put Florida businesses at an economic disadvantage. So the things I believe in, I continue to believe that we need to have a national policy that everybody understands.
Governor, why did you back off E-Verify, though? You campaigned on that, you backed off on that. Is it the business groups, did the chamber?
I didn't change my position on E-Verify. But the way to do E-Verify properly is a federal E-Verify program. As you know, I did the right thing in the state. Today, in our state, we use E-Verify for any company doing business with Florida government.
Should illegal immigrants be allowed to stay if they get advanced degrees or serve in the military, as Governor Romney suggested yesterday?
Well, I think the issue is we can't pick and choose our laws. What we've got to do is I have to enforce all the laws of the land. We need to have a national policy, we don't need to pick and choose a policy. We need to have a national policy and enforce that.
What do you think about Governor, on the economy? There have been some discussions that the Romney campaign has been asking you to tone down a bit. Is that a complete hoax?
Well, what I like is the fact that people understand now how well our economy is doing. We've had the biggest drop in unemployment of any state since I've become governor, but one. We've gone from 11.1 to 8.6. The number of people on unemployment has gone from 568,000 to 340. So we're doing the right things in our state. We're making sure, as you probably saw, Chief Executive Magazine says now we're the #2 state to do business. We're going to pass Texas hopefully next year. But no, the Romney campaign has not asked us to tone down our rhetoric, although I'm glad that nationally people know how well we're doing.
Why haven't you appeared with...
the voter rolls, the purging, a speaker here said yesterday that Florida is using flawed records. It knows that it's using flawed records to purge the roll, and it was a cynical and pernicious process. What do you think about that?
As you all know, there's no voter purge here. We did the right thing. We started, almost a year ago, asking the Department of Homeland Security for their SAVE database, which we have a right to. We have a right to use it for voter registration. And here's what we've done. We did the right thing there because in our state, like I assume every other state, we want to make sure that U.S. citizens have the right to vote, and it's not diluted by non-U.S. citizens. That's what our focus is. Now, because the Department of Homeland Security, for whatever reason, didn't give us the database, we used our own motor vehicle database and did a very small sample. And guess what we found? We found that non-U.S. citizens have registered to vote in our state and have voted in our elections. Now, I don't want any U.S. citizens' vote to be diluted by a non-U.S. citizen. Now, I want all U.S. citizens that live in our state register to vote, get involved in campaigns, and vote. But if you're not a U.S. citizen, you should not be voting in our state.
Governor, do you believe you're a help to the Romney campaign and can gain him votes, or do you believe he wants to keep you at arm's length and considers you a detriment to his national campaign?
My focus is, as you know, I ran on a campaign to get our state back to work. That's why I work on it every day. In our state, I'm going to make sure that 3 things happen. We have a great education system, we're the best place to do business, and we keep the cost of living low.
Has Governor Romney asked you to campaign with him at any point?
They've asked me to go to things, but it's always at the last minute for me.
What do you think should be the top issue that Hispanics concentrate on here? We hear a lot of talk about immigration, but the governor yesterday and again today talked jobs.
Here's the issue for everybody in our state that I talk to. They want to make sure their child can get an education. The chance to live the American dream is tied to being able to get a great education. Everybody understands that. 2, they want a job. No one has the opportunity to live their version of the American dream if they can't get to work.
Governor, do you think
they don't want any government, whether it's state, federal, or local, to raise the cost of living? So as you know, that's why we focused this last session on auto accident fraud, and we passed a great bill with regard to that.
Governor, do you think, though, that is there a political upside to the improvement that you keep pushing out about jobs in Florida, a political upside for President Obama, that a state, a big, important state, things are improving? Does that help President Obama in a way?
My focus is to make sure that I do what I said I was going to do on my campaign. I get our state back to work. I'm responsible for making sure this is the best place to get a job, get an education, and be able to afford to live.
Okay, but just from a political standpoint, though, does it help Obama?
Mr. Governor, in most Republican states, Hispanics are not welcome, and they're trying to run them out the country. How is it that you feel that the Republican Party now can be at the Hispanic gathering saying as if though they love them?
Oh,
and
gosh.
every Republican except you, I think, is trying to run them out.
Look at all the Hispanic Latino leadership we have in our state in the Republican Party.
They don't look at that. They're still trying to put them out the country.
in our state, in our state, you know, the Hispanic Latino community is a significant portion of our state. Over 20% of our business owners are Hispanics. They're part of the leadership in the House and the Senate in our state. So Hispanics in our state are doing extremely well and are very welcome.
Last question. What do you have to say to the Republicans?
Part of it, if you think about it, look at what the focus is. Look at the opportunity in our state. In our state, the opportunity to grow is going to be tied in our state. The opportunity to grow in our state is tied to the growth rate of Central and South America, the expansion of the Panama Canal. I mean, that's why one of the first things I did is make sure that we had the money to expand the port. I finished the dredge at the Panama Canal, took a trip to Panama, took seaport leaders. We had a great trip to Brazil. We're going to Colombia this year, just finished a trip last month to Spain. So the Hispanic community is doing extremely well in our state and is going to continue to do well.
Thank you, everybody. That's all we have time for.